400 ballots sealed were, but somebody substituted sample ballots. Somebody substituted, put a cover page on them and sent them to me. I sent a clerk to the warehouse to look for them. They said they didn't have any ballots down here. To this day, there's no accountability of the blank ballots. When I was in the warehouse, I could print ballots, as many as I wanted, and I could substitute them in. We need better security. Thank you.
David Bridget. Would you continue with the current Fulton County Elections Board as well as the contract with Happy Faces for conducting?
Wow, that was just
What are the chances I just will? Get on with the next question.
I would wipe the current Fulton Board of Elections right now. Let me tell you,
Please, no applause. Thank you.
they are useless. When they voted to fire Richard Barron, it was a bipartisan vote. Burnett and Nureddin, a Democrat, voted along with the Republicans. But then the next day, the Board of Commissioners were like, oh no, you don't have authority to fire Richard Barron. We have the sole authority. They're partisan. And of course, they voted to keep him. It was shocking. It was appalling. Burnetta was not allowed back on the board in June. She was actually punished by her party for voting on that vote. The other commissioner, Aaron Johnson, he was rewarded a position. So now we have a Democrat that is working for an elected official, working for Nikema Williams. He has a cushy $80,000 a year job running her House District office. And he's a real estate agent, so he can work out of that office. We also have on the head of the board the nonpartisan chair that they appointed. Oh, Kathy Woolard. A lot of us were down there. Kathy Woolard was a Fair Fight lobbyist on Monday. And then she quit her job. And then she was put to be the nonpartisan chair on our Board of Elections on Wednesday. Liz Hausman commented how she met with her, but she failed to mention that she was a former Fair Fight lobbyist. So now the board is highly partisan. They have no control over the elections director because they can't fire him. So basically, Richard Barron can do whatever he wants. And then as far as the happy face question goes, I think I've addressed that because I'm running out of time. But of course, no temp agencies involved in our elections. Thank you.
Matthew, would you continue with the current Fulton County Election Board as well as the contract with Happy Faces for conducting Fulton County elections?
Unfortunately, Richard Barron's last day is today. It should have been back in November when they took the first vote. Again, Fulton County elections have been messed up for a lot of years. It only really came so clear because we had all the ballots coming in from different places and drop boxes and all the rest of it. The elections board needs to be more representative of our county. I'm also in favor of putting together an elections board that the cities of North Fulton manage. That's going to require an act of the legislature, but it can be done, and it's being discussed on the mayor's calls, which they have periodically, as to how to possibly do that. An individual city really can't do it very well. It's just too costly. There's too much legalese you got to deal with. But a group of North Fulton cities could easily get together and create an election board if the state would allow it. And so that's something that I personally like to see us do. Because I think the closer you get that process to where we all are, the better representation we'll get.
Steve.
Right here. Yes.
This is a little line.
I'm going to put that up.
Please.
Will you pledge to never again implement a mask or vaccine mask mandate in Fulton County buildings for either citizens or employees? Well, it's a variation.
It's a variant of the...
There's a lot of the same damn thing, so hang on a second.
You get 2 questions.
Here we go.
Thank you so much.
I have only only had horrific experiences riding MARTA. What will you do to make it a safe and pleasant experience to ride on MARTA?
The time was coming, it was a good luck. Again, Fulton County doesn't run MARTA. And in fact, the saddest part of the news was the MARTA CEO jumped in front of one of his own trainees and committed suicide. MARTA up here in this part of North Fulton County, really, it's a couple of buses. And so there's not a ton that's available. We've talked a little bit about running what's called BRT up 400 in a special lane that has stations along all the way up to Windward. That's a multi-$100 million project that probably doesn't get off the ground. It did not make it into the peace loss. So that's pretty much done at this point. Make it more safer. It's just not. It's an issue of law enforcement. Yeah.
Okay. I have only had horrific.
No, you gotta say the same question. We tricked you.
I have only had horrific experiences riding MARTA. What will you do to make it a safe and pleasant experience to ride on MARTA?
Well, I've lived on, I traveled the world and I've been on many transportation systems. And I don't really know what you can do to make MARTA a person feel safer, given the climate we're in. I know Biden just gave a bunch of money to Fulton County and they're buying new cars. So maybe nicer cars, you'll actually feel safer. I wouldn't. Like Matt said, you have to beef up the police presence around the stations and on the trains, physically on the trains. Unfortunately, I don't think there's a whole lot you can do, but Fulton County does run MARTA. They fund it. It's our tax dollars. Do we want MARTA all the way up here? It's kind of an open-ended question. There's pros and cons of having it up here. So, to honestly answer, I don't know if it's possible to make it any more safer than it is right now unless we increase police force and police presence.
What we're going to do now, since most of what's left is slight variations of questions that have been asked, and getting into another 30 questions on election integrity that I don't think anybody wants to do. So, we're going to give you 5 minutes each to do a wrap-up of why you. And since you're standing, take it away, President.
Hey, I could do the first 5 minutes, but you only told us 2 minutes, so I'm not going to take my full 5 minutes. Look, I'm not a politician. I never thought I would be an elected official. I never thought about running. I was actually quite content when I couldn't run, because I know I'm still going to serve my community no matter what, whether I win this race or not win this race. I'm still going to be in there fighting for you, fighting for election integrity, fighting for a better run government. Now that my eyes are open to how our government is run. My opponent, he's been on the Roswell City Council. He has a voting record. You can look it up. You can see how he voted. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to represent you. Nobody else. I'm going to fight for everything with all I've got. I'm going to be in the office. I am going to be the strong conservative that's going to be the opposite of Commissioner Abdu-Rahman. She's going to be so far left, I'm going to be trying to pull her over to my side, whatever it takes. I think I am a bridge builder. I can work with the opposite side. I can find common ground. I can understand their situation. When I was down there at South Fulton County the other day, they were so thankful that I came down there. They told me, we've never seen Liz Hausman down here. I loved it. I loved every minute with it. I took pictures with everybody in that room. Even the guy who's running against Commissioner Marvin Arrington, Ricky Blaylock, he was there. He was so happy to see me. He works for Khadijah Abdu-Rahman, so I know where he stands. He knows where I stand. And he told me, Bridget, you just know a little bit about all that happens in Fulton County government. So that's what I want. I want the opportunity to be in there and not fighting from the outside with a 2-minute comment and some emails sent to my commissioners that they never respond. My commissioner, Liz Hausman, didn't respond to a single email of mine for 5 months over election integrity. She was my commissioner. I actually had to sign up and go to a luncheon that she was speaking at to finally meet her and finally speak to her. And then to find out she used to be on the Board of Elections and she hasn't answered my email, she hasn't responded to me. She wasn't serving the people. She wasn't serving me, her constituent. And then I find out that she's the Secretary of State's a communications liaison. Wow. No wonder she didn't want to communicate with me. If I am your commissioner, I want to communicate with you. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to serve you. That's one of my 3 core principles. And it's very important to me. If I feel like I'm not serving you and I'm serving myself, I wouldn't feel good about myself. So I humbly just ask, I humbly pray that you can see my heart and you know what I'm about. And I hope that you will vote for me to be the next commissioner for District 1 in Fulton County. Thank you.
Matthew?
Again, it's my way of giving back. If you, I was at a Fulton County breakfast a few weeks ago, a Republican Party breakfast, and one of the speakers said, it's just not enough to be mad and fired up. We need background, experience, and skill sets in all of our offices. I think I offer you that. And look, you can look at a voting record, you can do all those kinds of things and make a lot of assumptions. When you're behind the podium, when you're up there on the bench, when you're bound by certain laws and regulations, sometimes you have to make a vote that doesn't make sense in order for the right thing to happen for the citizens. And so there's a few of those, and I'll chat with some of you later on and share that with you. But I would tell you that if you believe that there's issues with the budget in Fulton County, if you want somebody who's got experience, who's got background and the skill set, then I'd ask that you vote for me. If you see fit to do that, you've all got my personal cell phone number. Don't email me; those get lost. Just call me. My personal cell phone number is on all my cards, and to Susan's dismay, it rings all day. And if you call after 10, I'll probably be asleep. I'm old. But I would tell you, from a responsiveness standpoint, the one thing that I really want to work for is the constituent service part. Right? When you can't get your license plates because the line is 4 miles long, when it takes you 8 times to go through and get the license plate because there's something different every time, you need somebody out there who can help. You need somebody out there who can see the control points, see the missing processes, know what they are from experience and from the skill set they've learned. That's what I offer, and that's why I hope you vote for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I'm going to ask you to do something I'm going to tell you not to do all night. First things in 24 hours, this video will be up on MB Debate Series, the YouTube channel. Okay, so you can get to see that. It's broken into 30-minute segments. No one's going to watch 2 hours straight. We know that. More importantly, would you give a hand to Vote Again? Thank you all for coming out and participating in this process. There's no filter here. You were able to ask questions directly to the candidates. Compare and contrast. That's what this is about. I'm not going to tell you how to think. Good luck.
Bridget, you did great.